record. So we are saying that in capital rationing, the main aim is to balance because the funds are scarce. So you balance in such a way that at the end of the day, every project has got something. So I'm saying that some projects can be done concurrently, but then some projects, if you decide to choose one, you have to leave the other because they're going to be a duplication, right? So I want to write that capital rationing implies investment in projects. Capital rationing implies investment in projects with limited capital resources. With limited capital resources. It implies investing in projects with limited capital resources. So what guides us is that when you have limited capital resources, it could have been that you are restrained because you are just poor, you don't have money, so you are restrained. And so you can decide that the bank, you're going to borrow money from the bank, and the bank is trying to limit you. Wanakwambia they can only give you some limit. Hata ukijaribu kuchukua kuuliza saa zingine ama ukoa jazi, naambiwa you can only get it to some limit. So there are limitations. That is why we have limited resources. There's something that is limiting us. Now, if whatever is limiting us is within our control, we call it internal or soft rationing. If it is outside, then we call it external or hard rationing. The one that is outside is when you get restriction. The banks are telling you, we can only give you this much, we can't give you beyond. That is hard. But if you are the one who is trying to limit yourself with the money that you have, then that is called soft. So we have two types of capital rationing. The first one is called the soft. That is the one that you imply, or you are the one who enforce that. You are putting restrictions by yourself. So the restrictions or limitations are caused by you. It is called soft or internal rationing. It is set by the firm itself. So you can say types of capital rationing. Then you say number one, internal into bracket soft. You say it is set by a firm. The next one is called external. Into bracket hard. You say it is imposed by banks or is imposed by banks CMA, etc. I hope you know what CMA means. It is different from Catholic Men Association. It is Capital Market Authority, not Catholic Men Association, right? CMA. Now we are saying that these guys can restrict the amount that you're spending or the amount that you can access in your investment. Yes, Waziri, it is that one. Nah? So they can restrict you. Once they have restricted you, you don't have an option. Topista, I'm saying that this one means Capital Market Authority. It is not Catholic Men Association.
Deno, please pardon number one. Types of capital rationing. Number one, your internal.
Kwani naenda mbio sana na vile naeleza na narudia. The first one is called internal, and then in bracket you put soft. Ruth, how are you? Wanasikia vibaya nikusalimia?
Wanasikia vibaya.
Masi, where are you? Wajinyonge, sio? Masi yako hapa. Masi akisema narudia nitarudia.
So mimi nikisema urudie number one internal software.
Wewe
sawa.
Ulikuwa umelog out. Kuna network problem, I can see. Masi, are you here? So the first one is internal into bracket soft. Then you put like this, types of capital rationing. It's called internal or soft. Set by firm, set by a firm. Unajilimit, unajiambia I don't spend more than this. The next one is called external. The next one is called external or hard. Those are types of rationing. This one you say it is imposed by banks, CMA, etc. Can even be Shiloh. So we are saying that you are rationing because you have a small amount of money, and these guys can restrict you how much you spend. So, Pista, are we okay now?
Yes.
Okay, we can proceed. Now, we are saying that capital rationing is the process of allocating resources. Capital rationing. Capital rationing. Capital rationing. Capital rationing is the process of allocating resources among different projects. This is the process of allocating resources among different projects. This is the process of allocating resources among different projects, comma, where the amount of money to be invested is limited. Where the amount of money to be invested is limited. Where the amount of money to be invested is limited. Florence, you don't see the board, but are you able to see me? So I'll repeat that capital rationing is the process of allocating resources among different projects where the amount of money to be invested is limited. You can't see me. Now you should hear me. At least if you can hear me, it should be fine. So let's look at illustration, how you can be limited. Somebody is not meeting. Who is that? Now that must be me. That must be me. So let's look at illustration. Illustration. So we have projects A, B, C, D, and E. This project has got IO, that is 10, 30, 15, 12, and 18. That is the amount that is required for each project. The initial outlay or initial capital for each project. Those are what are required. We have revenue per annum. Revenue per annum. The first one is 20, 30, 18, 17, 8. And then we have fixed cost per annum. Fixed cost per annum will have 510. 6, 8, and 2. And 2. Then we have number of years. Number of years. We have 3, 5, 4, 7, 15. So what are you seeing? We are saying that, for example, project A, we require 10,000 or 10 million, whatever it is, to start the project or invest, and then you'll get revenue of 20,000 or 20 million, whatever they will give you. The fixed cost is given as 5. This project will last for 3 years. So it means that this project A alone, you can be able to get NPV for project A alone. You can be able to get NPV for project A alone. Right? Same to project B and C, D, E. So each project can get NPV because you have the number of years, you have IO, you have the cash outflows. Additional information, you say that the variable cost ratio is 40%. The variable cost ratio is 40%. That is the first one. Variable cost ratio. Florence has a problem with network. Can somebody assist her? Florence is not seeing the board. Florence, can you check your network, please? Additional information, check your WhatsApp. I've sent it. The variable cost ratio is 40%. Projects B and E are mutually exclusive. Project B, project D and E are mutually exclusive. The cost of capital is 10% required. Assume that the company has a limit of 40 million to spend. Determine the optimal allocation. That is why I'm hiding, so that you can see the board, Waziri. I hope now everybody has the question. I've shared on WhatsApp. And again, I've also read or dictated the question. Now, are we okay? We can proceed. So that is where we are. You've been told that the variable cost ratio is 40%. The project D and E are mutually exclusive. The cost of capital is 10%. Now you need to understand why you're given the additional information. What is the aim of the examiner when you're being given the variable cost ratio? What are they trying to communicate? Mercy. Can somebody call Mercy, please? She's not even here. So you guys were active on WhatsApp, then A few minutes later, nobody is now active. Let me see those who have seen the link. Those who have seen my link. So many people have seen the link, but they are not in. So 12 people have seen the link, only 7 are in. 12 people have seen the link, and they saw it 20 minutes ago. So this is where we are. Can somebody now help us calculate NPV? Sorry, before that, let's find out why are we given the variable cost ratio? Mbona tumepewa hiyo?
To get contribution.
What is contribution? What is contribution? Okay, fine. They have also told that project B and E are mutually exclusive. What does that mean? What does it mean? What does it mean if projects are mutually exclusive? It means that you can leave one and take the other. You can take one and leave the other. You can exclude. Mutually, you can exclude one. Sasa, opposite of inclusive. So we are told now to calculate, determine the optimal location. They want you to get the optimal location. Optimal location is the allocation that can give you the highest benefit. Which benefit do you want to get in project? When you are investing in any project, the profit is, or the benefit is the maximum NPV. So you need to allocate them in a way that you're going to have the maximum NPV or the maximum benefit, right? Now, can somebody now tell me where we can start from? Can we get NPV for each project? I want you guys to start calculating NPV. I'm giving you 2 to 5 minutes NPV. Arrange the project like this. Have projects like A, B, C, D. That is a hint. And then now start getting the project, the NPV, have your revenue. Then you proceed. Every revenue for this, then you proceed. Kindly. Okay. I'm giving you 5 minutes, please, to get NPV of those projects. So what are we getting? NPV for the first one. So we say that we can get NPV for these items or projects. So we have A, we have B, we have C, we have D, and then E. Allow me to have them like that, if you can be able to see. So our revenue, when you get NPV, you need to know what are the profits. Then now you proceed from there. So our revenue for the first one is 20. The second one is B is 30, 18, 17, 8. What is the next step? Eliban, how are you? What is the next step, guys? You can text or you can talk. Normally, when you're getting NPV, after having your revenue, what is the next step? Waziri, Ruth and Florence, leo mmeamua. Topista uko wapi? Hebu tusaidie hapo. Hao wamegoma. Hawataki kuongea leo. Henry and Jane, when you're doing your NPV, yes, Florence, Sema, thank you. Hi, can we save time? Can we just talk and save time? Normal procedure of calculating NPV. Start with the revenue. What next?
You will get 40% of revenues.
So the variable cost, you're told that the ratio is 40%. It is 40% of revenue. So that is how you're going to get your variable, because they didn't give you variable, but they got you the percentage. So we are getting variable cost. You're told 40%. So 40% of this will be, right? 40% of this, is it that 8? 40% of this is, you know, 40% of this is 52, right? Is it really 52? $7.2, not 5.2. Confirm kama ni kweli. Then we have this one, 40% is 6.8. We have 40%, 3.2. Are they correct? Kindly confirm it is correct. So the next thing is to deduct your fixed cost. You can decide to get the get contribution first, or you deduct direct. Doesn't have any effect. Fixed cost. The fixed cost we are given, so we have 5, 10, 6, 8, 2. 5, 10, 6, 8, 2. Okay. Now from here we can get our profit before depreciation and tax, and we don't have depreciation. So profit before depreciation and tax. If you have depreciation, then you deduct. We don't have, so let's calculate. We have 7. Yeah, 8. 4.2, 4.8, 4.2, confirm if they are okay. Now, those are the profit before depreciation and tax. Are we given tax rate? You are not given the depreciation and you are not given tax rate. So that means that whatever you've gotten here is the cash flow. We don't have the tax rate, we don't have depreciation. So profit before depreciation and tax therefore becomes our cash flow. Any question? We can proceed. So what is the next step? What is the next step?
You calculate the NPV.
To calculate NPV. So for you to calculate the NPV, you need to know discounting factor, which is now the PV. Is it PV or PV? Is it PV? Are we using PV here or PV?
Hey, yeah, PV.
Huh? PV? How many agree that it's PV?
It's PV.
Jerry, si useme kama uko na hakika. Are you sure?
It's PV.
The level of confidence is very low. Eh? Aya, Henry, hii class sijui wanaume walienda wapi? Boy child, we need to start fighting for our rights. Which one is it? Tumeagree aje? PV or PV? PV or PV? Waziri? These projects are independent. Don't confuse the project with the year. So don't say that they are different years. These are projects. So this project unaangalia kivyake. How many years are you seeing on this project? Are the cash flows changing? You are told it is going to be there for 3 years. So that means that that project is standalone. Therefore, the cash flow that you're seeing here is the same for the next 3 years. This one is the same for the next 5 years. The other one is for the next 4 years, 10 years, and 15 years. So they are constant. So if the cash flows are constant for the next whatever year that you're given, then we use PVFA. Those who are saying PV, you can check. The cash flows are not, these are not different years, so that you say that they are irregular. Haziko tofauti kwa sababu they are not on the same project and they are not on different years. Kila project iko na yake. So can you get me a PVFA discounting factor for those items, those projects, depending on the years that you're given for each? Project A, what is the discounting factor? Hi guys, leo class inaboa aje? Nimekata kuongea. Ruth, just give us the answers. I need discounting factor for this. You are given 10%, but the first one is 3 years. Can I get discounting factor for these guys? Can I
It
get-
is, Deno, it is,
Yes.
it is 2.4869.
Thank you. 2.4.
2.4869. The second one is 3.7908. The second one, 3.1699. Next, 6.1446. Then the last one is 7.6061.
What I wanted, thank you. Now you can get your NPV. In fact, you can get your PV, not even NPV. Present value multiply 7 times 2.4869. The next step.
We calculate now first arrange the initial outlays as 10, 36, 8, and 12. Then ana complain naenda kai kwa studio, anaingia akitoka.
Nani? So we calculate our IO. But we don't calculate because we have them already. We have IO, so just say IO. So the first one was 10. 10.00, then we have 30. Then we have 15. Then we have, is it 12 or 17? 12, okay? Then we have 18. Now, we can get our NPV. So the NPV, the first one is 7.4083. 7.4083. That's the first one. The second one is 0 point. The next one is 0.2155. This one is 1.5181. Then we have 3.2971. Those are the NPV. Which one has got the highest NPV? The highest NPV again. Now, for us now to know the project that we can get, we now use a profitability index. So we now need to calculate our profitability index for these projects so that you can know which one is profitable. When you are allocating resources, you allocate resources to the project that is going to be profitable. So remember what we have. Our limit is 40 million. So we need to allocate 40 million on these projects. And for us to know, because you know the IO, this is the required amount, 40 million is not enough. These are the amounts that we have. 40 million is not enough to be allocated all of them. So we need to know which one is more profitable. You have your NPV, but we now need to calculate the profitability index to be able to decide which project is the best. So you calculate your profitability index. You are continuing, but because I don't have enough space, I'll bring these ones here. So our NPV was 7.4083. We have 0.3264, 0.2155, 1.5, 181, 3.2971. So profitability index is normally written as PI. How profitable is the project? So profitability index, you normally get it by having this formula. PI is equal to PV all over IO. So that means that you need to get now PV for each. The PV for each item, each project. Here we have this for project A. So project A, you're going to have, for A, you're going to have 17.4083 all over 10. That is the profitability index for the first one. That will give you 1.74083. What are we saying? That without subtracting the initial outlay, the normal profit that you got, that profit, how many times does the investment cost go into it? Ni kama unasema nimepata profit ya 100,000 but I've only invested 10,000. Inamaanisha yani umepata mara ngapi ile pesa uliwekelea. That is what we are saying. Profitability index is a number of times your initial investment has generated for you the profit. So kama invest 20,000 na umepata 40,000, it means that you have recovered your money and got an equivalent amount. So imeingia mara mbili, it is twice the amount of investment. So I want to know how many times the amount of investment the profit is going to give you. So you take the profit without deducting, before deducting, divide by the amount that you invested. You're going to have this. Then you go to the second one. The second one, you're going to have 30. So that is 30.3264. That is the profit that you got. How much did you invest? 30. So how many times have you received? So you can write that. Inakuja ngapi? Divide. What is the profitability index? Pesa yako imerudi mara ngapi? So we have 1.0, 1, 8. Then we go to the next one, 15 divided by 15. So we have 15.2155 divided by 15,000. We're going to have 1.10. The next one, we have 13.5181 divided by 12. The last one is 21.291. So that is the profitability index. Those are the figures. The profitability index is the present value all over IO for each item. Now that's where we are. The next part is now to rank them. You rank the project according to their profitability index to help you know which project are you going to undertake first. So you say ranking. So which project has got more profit, the highest profitability index? That will be project number 1. That is the one that you invest in first, kwa sababu ukiweka pesa hapo itakurudishia mara mingi. Tunaelewana Florence and Jill? Yes, that project if you invest in it, it will give you the highest return. Itarudisha hiyo pesa mara mingi. So that is the one that you start with when you will be allocating the capital that you have, the scarce capital that you have. Are we together? Ruth, leo umenyamaza sana. I will tell them not to talk, not to disturb you again. So, Ruth, can you give us now which project is number 1, which one is number 2, which one is number 3? Just unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. We give them numbers.
We have project 1, that's A. Then project E. Then project B. Then project C.
Oh, sorry, this one is number 3. So C is number 4.
Yes.
Why have you left project D? Just
because we have been told
hold on. Somebody can tell me, why have you not picked project D? Seems to be better than project C. Somebody else to try? Topista.
Kwa sababu umesema watu waongee. We have been told they are exclusive, mutually exclusive, so you can pick either of them.
Thank you so much, Waziri. So that means that once you have picked the other, you forget, once you pick one, you forget about the other. So this one is left out kwa sababu huyu imeharibu. So those are the projects that we're going to have. So we are not going to invest in all of them. We are going to invest only on these ones. And only if the funds are enough. So we shall start by investing in the first one fully, the second one, na pesa ikibaki ndio tutaweka hapa, because this one is the lowest in terms of ranking. So let's now have allocation schedule, resource allocation schedule. Sawa, now you know them. You know the project. I don't know. I don't have enough space, but I want to create some space. So let me have this one to be 1. Where utaendelea?
Then I have a question.
Please do. Go ahead. Go ahead, Florence.
If you check the profitability index for C and for D, for me, D is, I can choose D, then I leave C out. Because you see, C is 1.01, D is 1.126.
Tumeachana na D. Na waziri amesema that hiyo D tunaacha kwa sababu tumechukua E. So you only compare D and E. Once you picked E, we were told that projects D and E are mutually exclusive. So that means that once you pick one, you leave out the neighbor.
No, Mwalimu, let me explain to Florence. Florence, what it means is only D and E is what you can pick. You cannot choose between C, D, and E.
And you guys can also tell me, between project B and C, which one has got the highest?
Understood, Waziri. Between project B and C, for me, C has the highest.
So,
yes.
Hapo ndio sasa tumeharibu kidogo. So you change the number so that we have this one is 4, this is number 3. Are we okay now? Because this one is 1.014, this one is 1.010. So this one is the least in terms of numbering, right? So we want to now locate our resources, right?
Why not round off, Mwalimu? Mbona una assume your 8, the neighbor which is there?
Even if you round off, it will be 1.011. This one, if you round off, it is 1.014.
Okay.
Are we together?
Yes, we are together.
Thank you. resource allocation. Sasa unajaribu kupanga pesa sasa vile uko nayo kulingana na vile uko nayo allocation, the schedule. So we have the projects. So we have our projects. Right? Then we have allocation. Then we have NPV. What we are saying is that you want to allocate them according to the numbers, but you want to make sure that that allocation is going to give you the highest NPV because you have been assisted by the profitability index. So at the end of the day, you want to know what is the maximum or the optimum NPV. The question was, assuming that the company has a limit of 40 million, that is the amount that you want to allocate. Determine the optimal allocation. That is the allocation that is going to give you the highest NPV. And how do we know it? Through profitability index to give us the numbering. So we start by allocating. You write the project that you're allocating to. So our first project that we shall give priority is A. And A, how much are we giving A? Because A is profitable, you give it the full investment amount that is required. Remember, under this capital rationing, it is assumed that this project you can split, meaning that if you have less money and you require to invest 10, you can invest 5 and leave 5. So you invest in a half of it or even a third. Lakini kama uko na pesa unaweka full. So project A has got the highest profitability index, and 10,000 that we require, or 10 million that we require, is within 40 million. It is amount that we can afford. Why can't we invest all of it? So the IO in project A is 10 million. You give the all of it. That will give us what NPV is going to give us 7.4083. Then now we still have 30 million. We have only used 10. Tuko pamoja? We have only used 10 million. So we still have 30 in our bank. We can again invest that. So you go to the next one, which is number E. You write project E, which appears to be 2 here. Project E requires you to invest how much, and can you afford that much? Project E requires us to invest 18 million, and we only have 30. Yes, we can afford 18 million. So invest all of it. Our NPV is going to be, our NPV for that, 3.2971. We are doing well. We still have some money left in our bank, and that is 12 million. Can we invest 12 million again? Our next project is project B, C. C requires how much? C requires how much? 15,000. 15 million, right? Requires 15 million. And we only have how much? We have how much? 12. So you can only allocate 12 to this because you don't have the total 15. However, this 12 has got NPV that we can predict. The NPV for project C was 0.2155. This 0.2155 was received or gotten as a result of the 15 million that we invested. We decided we are not going to invest the whole 15. We shall only invest what we can afford, which is 12. So that means that this 12 has got some contribution on this NPV. So that means that the proportionate NPV that we are going to take in this case is the total NPV. If we were to have 15, that is 0.2155 times 12 all over 15. That is the proportionate NPV that relates to the 12 billion invested. Are we together? Yani, kitambo tupate hii, tulikuwa tumeinvest 15 million. Right now, we decided to do only 12. So if 15 is this, therefore, if 15 is 0.2155, therefore, 12 is equal to what? So it is 0.2155 times 12 over 15. The proportionate NPV that we could have gotten, were we to invest only 12, is going to be 1724. How much is your total NPV? That is the maximum you can get because we don't have enough fund. That is the only profit you can get in that kind of allocation. So add them, then you say there is the maximum that you have.
Dennis, please pardon me how you've gotten the 12 million.
12 million nimepata wapi? Ile pesa tuko nayo ni 40 ndio tuna allocate. So tumepeana 10 tukabaki na 30. 30 tumepeana 18 tukabaki na 12. Even though project C requires you to place 15, tumesota, hatuna pesa. We can only manage the balance that we have, which is 12 in our account. So ulikuwa na 40. So natoa pole pole tu. 10. Unaangalia ingine tena unaweka 18. That is another project. The last project that you can invest in is now number C. C requires you to place 15 million. C requires you to place 15 million. Lakini from your account, you only remain with 12. Invest what you have. That is why we call it capital rationing. We have limited resources, so we can only manage the balance. So because the NPV in project C was 0.2155, and this one was contributed by the investment of 15 million that was placed, we are now saying that if 15 is able to give you this, what about the 12 that we can afford now because of our bank balance? So our total or the optimum profit that we can get is only 10,877,8. That is what we can afford if we have 40. Our total investment was 40. That is the limitation, 40 million. I don't know if we still have some time. How many minutes are we having? We can introduce another subtopic. Yes, we still have time. Let's look at linear programming unless somebody has a problem in terms of resource allocation. That is the end of capital rationing. Thank you so much. Any question? We want to introduce the last subtopic in topic number 1. The last subtopic in topic number 1 is called linear programming. You also use NPV. You will realize that all these things have some elements of NPV.
Waziri, LM ni kesho, si leo.
Okay, so let's look at linear programming. What is the spelling of linear programming? Is it okay? Those who went to school. Kindly confirm if I've written it well. Is that the correct spelling? Hata muoni. I didn't know that you're not seeing. Nimeandika kitu hapo. Linear programming. So linear programming is also another method of making decisions on how to allocate resources in the business. It involves the use of graphs. Then you look at the center, the part that has got the maximum output. You remember this? Then unaambiwa these are unwanted region, unwanted area. So which part has got the highest NPV? The coordinates You remember the coordinates. And of course, for you to come to this coordinate, it means that you have to have the y-axis and the x-axis. Y-axis and x-axis. So let's look at an example. What you need to know about linear programming. Number one, there are limitations, or what you call the limitation or limited resources. Just like what we have just done, you have limited resources. And that is why the topic is in a. Number two, we have objectives. What do you want to achieve? In the example that we've just done, the objective was to maximize the profit or optimization. So this one, again, we have the objectives. So let's assume that you're given these two projects. And then you compare and tell me which one will you pick. After writing the title, just say example or illustration. Illustration. You have time. Then you have project A. Then project B. Then you are given, these are now the cash outflows and the cash inflows. So here we have 10, here we have 20, and then we have 10 here. At that time, this one has got 20. They don't want to meet. We are here 20 within an acquired 10. Then here we have dash. And then the last year, they are having 120 here, when here we have 120 and 70. I want somebody to tell me, when you are given the cash outflows or cash flow, they just say cash flow, and you have seen that some are negative and some are positive, what are your interpretations? When you've seen that, what are your interpretations? What are your interpretations?
Some are negative MPV for ATNTV, guys.
So those negative MPV, those negative NPV, what do they mean? Inamaanisha?
Hizo zinamaanisha projects zenye hazifai, hazileti ninio return.
Good trial. Any other person? Ruth, ongea tu, hawatakuchapa. Ongea tu. Tell them what you know. So, Kristen, I want to hear your voice. What does the negative one means? The cash flows. You know, when you're given the question, there's nothing frustrating like you are seeing the question and the first thing inakustua. Unaona negative unashangaa hizi ni nini sasa? Yaani uko blank. At least ukiona question, the first thing looks familiar, it looks very friendly. It gives you the confidence. Na hiyo ndio inatakikana. So for Kristen, sema kitu. Ama watu wako class jamani. Is Edwin around? Edwin?
Yes, I'm around.
Say something.
When you see the negative, that one shows that project A from year 0 to year 2, they've just been inputting money, but they have not realized any profit until year 3.
So those are amounts that are being invested. They keep on injecting money. They have not started getting any money coming in terms of cash flows. So therefore, in terms of linear programming, they can tell you that this person has got less money. Maybe in year one, you have to do the two projects concurrently, but year one has got 20, you need 20 million for project A to invest. At the same time, you need 10 million to invest in project B, but you only have 10 million. How do you balance? How do you balance? You have limited resource. Unahitaji a total of 30 for the two projects. 30 million. You only have 15 or 20. That is what we are saying. So it means that you need much, but you don't have resources. There are limitations. And that is what I was referring to when I say that some of the things that you need to remember in linear programming is the limitation of resources. Number two, I say that you need to know the objective. When you are investing here, what is the objective? If the objective is to minimize the cost, then it means that you need to look at that as the objective. The objective could be profit maximization. So in linear programming, for those who did QA and MA recently, they remember that in linear programming, the objective can be profit maximization or cost minimization. If it is cost, you minimize. If it is profit, you maximize. So you need to define your objective, the first thing. All right? Now, in case you're given this kind of a question, and then you're told that the rate of capital is 10%. This is what you're given, and then you're told the rate of capital is 10%. 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 Determine the maximum quantity or the optimum quantity. Determine the optimum quantity or the optimum ratio. Determine the optimum quantity or the optimum ratio. So what are we saying? That you need to know the objective. Which ratio can you allocate to A and B to give you the maximum output? So what is the best ratio that you can allocate for A and B so that you can get the maximum output or the maximum NPV for the combined projects? Therefore, our objective is to maximize the NPV. When you know the maximum NPV, that is your aim, to get the maximum NPV out of this two. Then you now know what allocation or what proportion can I put in A or have in A and B, respectively, to give me the best NPV for the two projects combined. That is objective. So you need to know the objectives. I'm repeating, the objective matters. So the first step is to know what is the NPV that you are looking at. You need to get NPV for each project. NPV for each project. So let's get NPV for project A. So you say steps. Step one, determine NPV of the projects. Is it determine or determine? NPV of each project. That is the first step. We start from there. So we go to project A. NPVs, we have time, we have the cash flow, whether it is out or in. We have our PV at 10%, you're given. Then we have our present value. In fact, I can just say NPV. Then we now proceed. So in project 0, obviously it is known that the one in project 0, that is the initial amount that you're investing, because in year 0, in year 0, there is no investment that you made, so you don't expect any profit in year 0. Normally, it is amount that you're investing. Become a beginning of the year, you can't get income immediately. You need to farm some money. So most of the time hapa ndio inapata kama unaweka pesa. Lakini if it is a project that kichwa yake ni ngumu, then in year 1 bado you pump in more money. In year 2 you keep on pumping. Lakini siku moja in year 3 Mungu atakujalia uanze kupata matunda, sio? So year 1 we have our cash flows. The cash flow that are given in year 1 and year 0 are out. So we have 10, then we have 20. You're still pumping money, the way Elena said. Then we have another money that you're pumping in. Then we have year 3. Sasa in year 3 Mungu anakuonekania, so unapata kakitu positive figure. So this is the only income that you have. The rest are just money going on. But of course we have to get the PV for each period. So get me PV for year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 0. So what is it that you are getting there? PV for year 0 is 1, 0. Normally 1. Year 1, 0.9. 0.91, 0. Year 2, calculate. At least the first 12 round. Hizo nimeshika. Calculate for me PV for year 2 and 3, year 3 and 4. Or should I calculate that as well? That is still money going out. The last one is so this one we are getting something. Not just something, but a bigger thing. We're getting something big. So our NPV, that is what we want to maximize, is the total of that. So we have 90. That is the first NPV for project A. And we are thinking of maximizing them. Let's go to project B. Project B. So you simply change here. Remember, the first step is to get NPV for each when you're doing linear programming. So you go to project B. The cash flows are different. I remember the first one was 20, then the second 10. So you have 20, then 10, and then the next one is 0. So here there is no cash flow. And then we have a 70. So what are we getting? Calculate for me the NPV there. Calculate for me the NPV.
Akideno surely tunafaa kupika.
So what is the problem? Florence saying that surely they know. What is the challenge? NPV is 23.5. Florence, what is the challenge?
Nataka kupika.
Class inaisha saa 3:30. That is when my 2 hours will be done. So you can go and cook, lakini weke audio na video one wewe ukipika. I know some of you are cooking there. Si ati sijui. Najua watu wanapika. Tunapika, wengine wamekula, wanalisha watoto na wanaangalia hivi. That is why they are not even replying. Nilijuaje? So I was also a student. Naweka simu hapo, ukiitwa ndio unapika. First, let me tell you, when we started teaching online, after calculating NPV, the second step is to formulate the linear programming problem. That is step 2. Formulate linear programming problem. Formulate linear programming problem. So you need to create the equations. So which equations do we have? For example, we can start by saying that let A be X or be Y. Then B be Y. I like working with Y and X. I don't know why. So once you've done that, then you can now say that for us to get the maximum NPV, we are going to get NPV, which is a combination of the one that you're going to get from A and B, but at a certain ratio. So that means that our maximum, or what we call that, our objective is to maximize NPV. Our objective is to maximize NPV. That is what we are trying to do, right? That is what we are trying to do, to get the maximum NPV in whatever location we are doing. So therefore, the maximum NPV is equal to, what was the NPV for X and Y? For A, we got 37 point. Let me see what you gave me. You didn't. I was given a certain figure. 37.182. So we have 37.18 of a certain proportion of A, which is now X. So it will be, let's say that you've invested in A and this one, maybe half. The total amount that you're having, ukaweka half, or even 2, 0.2, 0.8. So it means that the NPV will just be 0.2 of X. So we'll have X, it will be 37.18 times 0.2, because that is the amount of the portion that you invested in X. The rest of the money you invested in Y. So Y will be having 0.8 times the NPV. That is the proportion. So therefore, let's name it 37.818X plus, because it is a combination. It's like a group NPV, 23.5. Y. That is the maximum NPV that you're looking at, that you can get.
Dennis, where did you get this 0.2 and 0.6 thing?
Wewe unapika unarudi. Ama network imepotea, wacha nione. Hii ni kupika tu. I say that, for example, in fact, at first niliweka 0.5. I say that this X is just a representation of the proportion that you can put. It can be 0.8, it can be 0.5, 0.3. What I'm saying is that you have a certain amount of money and you have two projects only. You have a certain amount of money and you only have two projects in linear programming. You only have two projects. So that money must be allocated or divided amongst the two projects at a certain ratio. That ratio we don't know. It can be 0.2 to 0.8 or 0.5, 0.5. So that means that the NPV that you'll get will also, remember this NPV is full if you invested everything in Y. Now, if you decide to take a portion of the investment, then that portion, let it be X. So it will be a portion like 0.5 of X, a half of X peke yake. So it will give you a half NPV, which is a half of 37.15. How do you get it now? It's 37.1518 times the proportion, which is X. Then this one is 23.5 times the proportion you invested in B, which is now Y. So it can be half, it can be 0.2. Sasa, so next time ukirudi kupika, unatulia kwanza. Najua unanipima. But sasa nimeeleza. It's a joke. Sasa, it's a joke. Najua ulipika kitambo. So are we together up to there? So that is the first equation. The first equation that you need to know is the objective function. It is an equation. It's an equation. And those are what we are formulating. The problem or equation. The next equation now depends on the limitation or limited resources that you have. So the first option you are given us in year one, what are you seeing? In year one, you are given A is 10 and Y is 20. A is 10 and Y is 20. I think there's something that I've not given you. I've not given you the limited factors. Limitation factors. Limitation factors are given as limitation factor. They normally give you this kind of, and so we are given like in year one for A we have times 0. A times 0, we are given 10, and B is given 20. So najua times 0 ni gani? You are given there. A was 10, B 20. Look at your notes. Then we have time 1. You are given as 20, 10. The maximum that you have in this one is 20. So 20 becomes the limitation factor, which is amount available for investment. So we are saying that these are cash outflows. These are monies that are going out. The way Edward said that in time 0, you need to invest 10 million on A and 20 on B. The only amount that you are having that is available is 20 million. For time 1, you have 20 and 10. The amount that is available, which is the limited factor, is 25 million. That is the amount available for investment. And you see, you require that you have limited factor. In time 2, we are having 30, right? Or it was 0. It was 30, then 0. The amount available here is 30. Those are limitation factors. So now we can proceed with this. We have created the first problem or equation, which is the maximization. We have seen how to get the maximum NPV. Now we can now proceed and create, using the limitations, you can create more equations. Now equations comes from the cash flows that you have. In year one, you have cash flow, which is cash outflow, and you now need to confirm that you have how much in your bank or the amount that is available vis-a-vis the amount that you need to spend. Then now assume that instead of investing fully 10,000, you need to take a portion of X and a portion of Y, which should give you 20. So from here you can create formulas. So endelea hapa chini, continue down there, creating more equations.
Mr. Dennis, you see, I have a problem with determining the limiting factor. It is not a matter of sijui kupika. I'm trying to follow it so keenly, but I'm not getting it, honestly. I don't know.
Hold on, Florence. The first one that you asked had nothing to do with limited factors. That one was an example which I said it was not from anywhere. I said that you can say that you have 40 million and you need to invest in 2 projects. So you need to apportion. You say that half of this 40 nitaweka hapa, 20 nitaweka hapa. Ni wewe ndio unaamua vile unallocate. Because in linear programming, the amount that you have is limited, but you have to take a portion to put in project 1 and another in project 2. In linear programming, you'll be given 2 projects. Those projects need you to allocate some money, but you don't know which one to put more or less. You can put half or half zero. Of course, Najua, you are not cooking now. I know, I was just joking, but I'm trying to tell you that one is not something that we are now doing here. This one is different from the one that I gave as an example. Now, this one here, you are given this question and you're told that these are the amounts that you need to invest, and you have them in your question. In question number 1, the first part, you are given the time and the cash outflow for each project. Check. You are told that project A, you're going to have cash outlay of 10 when B is 10. So that means that in year 0, at the beginning of the year, when you have to invest, how much do you need to invest in A? It is 10 million. B requires 20 million. That is what you are given initially. Now, additional information that you're now given, which I say that I forgot to give you, they normally give. They will now give you the limitation factors. Limitation factors are things that are restricting you not to invest what you want to invest in. For example, as you have seen in year 0, which is time 0, A required you to place 10 million, when B also requires you to place 20. And now you're being limited to only 20 million available. Yani ile pesa uko nayo ni 22, lakini unaambiwa inafaa invest in A and B. Now you have to decide which proportion of A are you going to invest in and which proportion of B. At the end of the day, lazima uweke kitu kidogo hapa na hapa pia. But so huwezi weka 10 yote, huwezi weka 20 yote hapa, because you have small amount of money and you need to allocate them. So this one is going to be given by the examiner. They are going to tell you what are the limited factors. The limited factor is here is the amount that is available for you. In year 1, we are only having 20 when you are supposed to invest total of 30. Don't you think that you have limited resource? Yes. Ni kidogo, ile uko nayo ni kidogo kulingana na ile investment unataka kufanya. The second year, which is now year 2, pia examiner anakuambia in year 2, you are still pumping money, you are still investing, lakini hauna pesa enough. What you are investing in A is 20 million in A. B, you are told to invest 10. Kiangalia pesa uko nayo kwa account, you only have 25. Kwa hivyo pia ni limiting factor. Hiyo bado ni shida. So that is now what calls you that out of this 25, how much should I allocate on A and how much should I allocate on B? Now that nimeambiwa lazima niweke kitu kwa kila project. So limited factors are the resources that are not enough, but you have to now ration them. It is derived from the one that we did earlier, capital rationing. Now, after that, you now need to use that knowledge and apply here. Uko na pesa kidogo and you need to allocate all of them. Unfortunately, in this linear programming, there are only 2 projects. Na kila project lazima upate ka kitu. So you need to know which proportion can I put, proportion of the 40 million of the amount that you want to invest. So what proportion can I put in this and which proportion in this? So for example, now we have 20, this is the amount that you have, and this is the investment that you want to make. You can say that
Deno,
I can only
where is year 3?
proceed.
Where is year 3? Which is 120 and 70, or we are just taking the one that have not started generating income?
Year 3 is income. Do you want to invest money and you are getting income? It is not investment.
Oh, nimeelewa, thank you.
Hapo kuna pesa. Year 1, year 2 and year 0, hapo ndio unahitaji pesa na hauna hiyo pesa ya invest. Kwa hivyo you have limited resources. In year 3, you don't need to have limited resources because you don't even need the money to invest. All of them are cash inflows. Tuko pamoja?
Yes, Deno, nimeelewa, thanks.
Sawa. Now, you understand why limitations, and I like those questions. Limitations only come when you lack but you want to use, not when you have and you don't need to spend. You lack, you don't have much, but you want to invest. You don't have much, but you invest. Now, I said earlier that you need to look at the question and understand what the examiner is saying. So Florence has understood. Who else wants to understand? Nani pia hajaelewa? That you know what you need to do, and you know how much you have, and now you are worried. How do I locate this pesa? Niko nayo kidogo. Okay, so we want to now create the first equation that you always start with is called the objective function. What do you want to achieve? You want to achieve the maximum NPV. That maximum NPV depends on then the portion of NPV from A and the portion of NPV from B. The next part is now the equation where you are now looking at these ones that you're given, these limited resources. It is the maximum you can reach. So start with year 0. That gives you your first equation. So the first equation is, remember A was X. So you're saying that I can invest a certain portion of A, which is now X, plus a certain portion of B, which is this one here. Why? This one cannot go beyond 20. For sababu 20 is the maximum. So that investment can only be equal to 20 or less than 20. You cannot spend what you don't have. So it cannot be, these two cannot be greater than 20. They can be either equal or less than what you have in the account. So that gives you the first equation. The second equation is this one here. In year 1, I now have 25 maximum to spend, but I'm being told that I need to work on this. So I have to take a portion of A and a portion of B. So you say, the second one, you now say 20x plus 10y cannot be greater. It can only be either less or equal to 25. That is another equation in linear programming. Are we together? Waziri?
Are you?
Yes, Jenny. Where is Jenny?
Yeah, we are together.
Edwin. Najua Edwin ameelewa yeye. Ameelewa. I don't need to ask. Now we are on the second. So Florence, what you need to know when you're looking at this, you need to look at the constraints. These are what we call limitation factors or constant. What are you constant? Are you having constant on the time, or are you having constant on the money? The money that I need to spend with hii na hii, lakini iko na hii peke yake. Kwa hiyo constant is here. They are called limitation factors or constraints. You cannot go beyond them because you can't invest 25,000 when you only have 20 in the account. The last one is for only Y. So this one is for only X, sorry. So it is 30X. Y is not there. So it means that this amount can only be equal or less or equal to 30. That is a constant. So we have our 4 equations. The first one, remember, we were having 37.18x plus 23.5y, which we say this one was the objective function. So it is not having equal to, it is the function, it is the equation, it is what we want to achieve. And it is equal to NPV, or NPV is equal to this one. So this objective function, these are the constants. This is the objective function, but these are now the constants. Zile shida tuko nazo. To achieve this, hizi ndio shida tunapitia. Hatuna pesa. The next one is called non-negativity constant or equation. Non-negativity equation is normally x, y is equal to or greater than is equal to 0. Non-negativity constant is greater than or equal to 0. Why do we call it non-negativity equations or constants? We are saying that in linear programming, at the end of the day, you are going to draw a graph. And that graph should not be on the negative side. The only point you can reach at is 0 and above. So the figures that we're going to look at, the value of x and y, must either be 0 or more than 0. They should not be negative. They are non-negative. So they are called non-negativity constants. So that when you are drawing like this, the value of x can only be on this side. Whatever you're looking at can only be on this side, not here. If they become on this side, then x is now negative, y is now negative. If it is here, x is negative. So we are saying it is either 0 or more. So it is greater than or equal to 0. They cannot be less than 0. If it is less than 0, then they are now negative coordinates. They are negative coordinates. So this one is like the beginning point, the center, when everything, both x and y is equal to 0. You start from there now, going on. It will not be given to you. You need to know by default that when you are making your graph, they meet at a certain point that you can never be given. It can be like this and this. Then you're told here, this one should be given. Lakini hii hautapewa, wanataka kutumia akili. Kwamba this point, both the coordinates are 0. X and y coordinates are 0. So they will not give you the figure. Hapa watakumwambia, they will specify, then tell you that y is 1 when x is 0. This one is maybe 2 and 3. Lakini hapa wanataka kutumia akili kwamba ukichora hii na hivi na hivi, ushapewa hii na hii na hii. Hii inaweza kuwa ngapi? Na hii inaitwa non-negativity constraints or coordinates. Haya. So we are there. I don't know if there is anything that is still remaining from that equation. But I feel that we have calculated. These are the constants that are available. There are 4. So that means that we can easily draw something. Now from here, you go to the next step where you do coordinates. Hizi hesabu zitatusaidia vipi kwa maisha mwalimu? If you become a finance manager, you'll be making decisions and then they will help you. Trapezium. Unakumbuka trapezium? Na sio lazima zikusaidie, inasaidia mwenzako. You know, people complain that these things are not helping in life. Lakini wakati watu wa hiyo area wameanza kuongea, wananyamaza. You now call them expert. No, people don't want to talk about things like geography or history. But when those who understand start talking like PLO, now start talking about the history and what happened. Sasa unamwangalia kama expert. Na huko nyuma ulikuwa na pangana ati inanisaidia nini? Portuguese conquest of the coast does not help me in life. Wacha PLO akuje aanze to explain and how it happened. Unanyamaza na unalipa you usikize. So these things help. Even if they don't help you, they will help your neighbor. Your neighbor. one day anatumia hii kupata unga. So now we are saying that now the next thing is to get the coordinates. You get the coordinates, and then we draw. Thank you. So the coordinates are very simple. You get them from here. So the coordinates, you know, you have four directions. This is the first one. This one is a different level. Hii inaitwa objective function. Weka separate. The constants, you'll get coordinates from the constants, and there are only 4. So you need to have 4 directions. So you say that now, if the first point, you say that if x, assuming that x was 0, what will happen to y? If x is 0, then it means that 2y would be equal to 20. So that therefore means that y is equal to 1. So whenever x is 0, then here we're going to eliminate. So tumebaki na hii peke yake. Then y is going to be 1. So therefore, our first coordinate here is saying that whenever x is 0, y is 1. That is the first point. So this line has given you that one. It has to give you 2 coordinates. The first coordinate inakwambia when x, remember x is on this side, y is on this side. So when x is 0, then y is 1. And what if now y is 0? What will be x? If y is 0, what will be x? Then 10x will be 20. That means that x will be 2. So when x is 2, y will be 0. So the first line has given us 2 coordinates points. 2 coordinates points. Unajaribu kila moja, unaambia if this happens, what about this? So make x 0, then get the value of y. Also make y 0, get the value of x. So it is 10x is equal to 20. X is equal to 2. This one can also give you 2. So say if x is 0, then 10y is equal to 25. That means that when x is 0, y is going to be 2.5. Tuko pamoja? What about if y is now 0? If y is 0, we are going to do away with y. So tumebaki na 2x is equal to 25. Let me return it before I forget. So it means that 2x is equal to 25. And what is that? It means that x is now equal to 1.25. So we are saying that whenever x is 1.25, then y can be 0. That is the second coordinate that you're going to find from that. This can only give you 1 because it is only 1. So how do you call it? This one is called x. Who can now help me? How do you translate that? How do you translate that? The last one. Mtu aniambie. How do you translate that?
One plus 30x.
Make a coordinate. 1 plus. Which kind of coordinate is this? If you are to draw, utafanya aje? Can somebody explain to me if you are to draw this?
If you draw, if you draw, itakuwa fixed 0. Itakuwa like fixed kusema aje? 0 then
No, we have y and x here. So draw for me this line.
That line ita run katikati from 0 to 10.
On y of x.
X. From y to x we got 10.
Have you ever seen lines that run like this?
Yes.
It's that line where we only know that the value of y is 1, but x is infinite. Right? So that is a point where y, x is 1, y is 0. How is it x1? 30, x is equal to 30. X is equal to 30 over 30. It is equal to 1. So therefore, x is 1. And we didn't even have y. So y is definitely 0. So it is only giving you one coordinate. You can't say that what is the value of x. The value of x doesn't exist. Non-negativity constraint. This is where everybody is 0. So we are going to have that everybody is 0. So we have those coordinates to fill, and then we go home today. What is the time? I'm past the time by around 9 minutes. So we can draw. Don't worry, I will adjust the board. So after drawing like that, you now have your y here and have your x here. So if that is the case, then take the first one. We want to plot the points. So 0 and 1. So let's say that this one is, the maximum there is, I can see 2. So if that is the maximum, utapewa the graph paper, utapewa kwa mtihani. Ama unaitisha. Najua watu wengi watashangaa. Unaona Florence anaitisha paper, unashangaa kwani Florence anafanyia nini graph paper kwa FM? Anapewa mwalimu graph paper. Unaangalia, ndio naangalia na shangaa.
That is Faima next to me.
Sasa hii ndio kazi yake. So you plot well. Then you count and then you put here, so this can be 1. So if this one is 1, then I'm assuming that this one is now 0.5, then this one is 1, then we have 1.5, or we have 2, right? So 1.5, half of 0.5 divided by 2 is 0.1, no, 0.25. So that means that a half here will be 1.75, right? So if I want it to be, what about this one here? This one, 0.5 again. So this one will be, here will be 1.25. That will be this one, right? Here katikati, 1.25. Is that it? Yeah, that is what I was looking for. And then so I can also use that ratio on the other side. So we have, that is 1. Now here you also have 1, 0.5. Make sure that you do your scale very well then. So this one is 0.25, 1, 0.75, 1.0, 1.25, 1.5. Are they moving like that? 1.75, and then 2.0. Vertically, I don't need this, I can wrap it. I only need the other ones. So I can wrap this. Allow me wrap. So that I can extend my graph. So we have here 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, 1.0, 1.25, 1.5, 1.75, 2.0. This is y. This is your x. That is your x. This is y. Now, we start with the first one. We are saying that x is 0 when y is 1. So we go to y. Y is 1 here. Up to 1 here. And x is 0. So that point, this is a point. This is a point where y is 1 when x has not moved an inch, it is 0. The second one, you can pick any. We start with, then you go to the second one. This one is done. The second one, x is 2. So we go to x. X is 2 here when y is 0. 2 when y is 0. Unaona? So tuko na hii point na hii. Those are coordinates. The first line. So let me draw that line. I have my ruler. So I'll come here and draw this. Good. So that is the first line. The first line or first equation is done. Second equation is now this. Remember, it was a line. So this is the line for the first equation. This is now the second one. The second one is 0 is x. When x is 0, y is 2.5. So let's go to x. X is 0. Y is 2.5. So 2.5 will be somewhere. This one can be 2.25. Then we have 2.5. I'm assuming that is somewhere here. And you can see. I'm assuming that is somewhere here. So that is the first line. The second line is 1.5 x. X is 1.25 here. And y is 0. Down here. Unaona? Then you take your ruler. Enda kwa mtihani na ruler. You don't know what the examiner has said is waiting for you. Alafu nawapea assignment. Kuna assignment hapa. Taenda kufanya. Ungesema. Are we together? Waziri?
Yes, mwalimu niko sawa.
Non-negativity constraint. Non-negativity constraint is this. So that is definitely here. And then now we have one more line where they're telling us that x is 1 when y is 0. So x is 1, that is here, when y is 0. So it is a straight line. Eh? So you just put it here, straight line. Walimu wa maths, lazima watembee na kalamu na rula, sio? So I think I'm not accurate. If I was accurate, then it should come here. I'm not just accurate. Naona kama inafaa ingia hapa hivi. You have been using your, when you've been using your ruler, inaweza ingia vizuri. So it should be somewhere here. Very straight line. I don't know, something like that should exist. But if you're using your graph, it should be okay. So we have 3 points. So you can call this one A, B, C, and D. A, B, C, and D. Now, you need to read now, which point is this? You need to know. So this point seems to be just a little bit higher, right? Is it higher or it is exactly this one? I don't know. You need to confirm now and write the coordinates. Now, assuming that it is here, then this point will be y is 0.5 when x is 1. So it is 1, 0.5. Right? That is the point. If it is on this line, but wewe utaangalia. In fact, mimi naona ni kama haiko hivyo, but utaangalia. So if whatever you're going to get is like that, then now you want to now get among the points. These are unwanted regions. You don't need these ones. You only need region within this area. Which one between this and this and this and this? Which combination of x and y will give you the highest NPV? I hope nobody is sleeping in class. I hope nobody is sleeping in class. So let's now
So-
come and get our values. So we say that we have three options. There are four. So in A, NPV for A, we have optimum NPV, determination of optimum combination or NPV. The one that is going to give you the best NPV is the best combination. So let's start with the A. A is saying that Y is 1 when X is 0.
Then
What was
adjust
that?
the board. Adjust board.
Are you okay now?
What is this? You've written determination of combination.
Optimum combination. A combination is just a group of X and Y, which X and Y is giving you the highest NPV. So it can be determination of the optimum NPV or the optimum combination. The examiner said that you need to get the maximum combination or quantity that will give you the best NPV. So when you tackle here, which one among these one will give you the highest NPV? Now listen, you start in the first corner, we have A, B, C, D, the pamoja. This one has got coordinate of X and Y. And remember what we said, that the best NPV should be 37.18 of X plus 23.5 of Y. Let's now get for A. For A, we have 37.18. X now is 1, is 0. So this one, X is 0. So 0. Kwa hii corner, X is 0 when Y is 1. So this is plus 23.5 times 1. What is your NPV? 23.5. That is the answer. Kwa sababu hii ni 0. You replace this with the coordinates. This one and this. Let's do B so that ushike vizuri. B inasema that we have X which is 1 when Y is 0.5. So we have 37.18 times 1 plus 23.5 times 0.5. Get me the answer there was in C. Let me just pick the maximum. C is saying, C is now a straight one, where we were saying that X is 1 but Y is 0. So we have X, which is that 7.118 times 1 when 23.5 is times 0, because that is Y and Y is 0. What is the answer? The answer is 37. Hii najua kufanya hii. Hii nitajua, najua vizuri. The next one is D. D is when they are 0, 0. So that is 37.18 times 0 plus that 23.1 times 0. That gives you 0. So somebody give me the first one, the B. Then we compare which one is the highest. Here, of course, imefail. Hii ni 0, hii imefail. Tutaangalia hizi tatu. Which one is the highest NPV? That will be the best combination. So 23.5 times 0.5 plus 7 and 1. So 48.93. Are you seeing the board? Florence ako karibu kusema aoni, ndio hiyo. So the one that has got the highest NPV, its combination is the highest combination or the highest quantity or the highest proportion. Sasa sema ni gani hiyo? So that is an example of what we were expected to do. That is an example, just an example. Of course, B is not the correct because I'm not very accurate. If you're accurate, you should get the correct one.
Mwalimu, allow me to ask you something. Kindly, if you can adjust the board, I see the graph kidogo. Nimeshindwa kuplot manake naona kama hiyo hata si mambo na hiyo swali, ni hiyo tu general mambo na kuplot. The first line hiyo point A kuna 1.0 alafu huko mwisho x ni nini? Ni 2.
The first point,
Hiyo ni 1.0 hiyo.
1.0 is the same as 1. So it means that y is 1. X has not moved an inch, so x is 0. That must be x is 0.
Pole, that's what I want to check. Ndo nimeshindwa
So 0, 1. That is how it should be. Because y is 1, x is 0. The question is?
What? It's 0, 1, si ndio?
Is 0, 1.
Hiyo coordinate ndio nataka, ndio nashindwa how to plot that thing. Naona kama iko 1 na 2, lakini sioni hiyo coordinate imetoka wapi.
Achana na hii 1 and 2. When I was getting this, how did I get it? I used a coordinate that looks like this. It was
0, 1.
That y is that and x is 0.
And the other one is 2, 0, yeah?
Yes, this one is now 2, 2, 0, yes.
Hapo ndo
And because they are in the same equation, look at the equation, the first equation. That is where all of them came from. So natural line. So this line is for an equation which says that, I don't know, how was the equation looking?
No, iko sawa, 0, 1 na 2, 0. That was the first equation.
Thank you.
Yes.
Now, I want you to remember something. We are going to get here what we call the combination or coordinates. Like now, this one we are saying, the best coordinate is B. B has the highest, which is now the highest NPV, which is 48. So we can come and say that the best coordinate is when x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 0.5. This one is not a probability. It must sio lazima add up to 1. Mtu ataniuliza ati but hii inakaa more than 1. No. It is just the portion of x that we invested. It means that we realize that the profit in x is the best. When we invest all our money in project X fully as required, like project X required you to invest how much? I don't know. Tangalia. So you invest full money in project X, and then when you go to project B, which is now Y, just invest in a half of B. At the end of the day, itakupea pesa mingi sana. That is what we are saying. So in case you are having in this, for example, now in this time A, we are having 10 in time 0. Time 0, we are having 10 for X, and then Y is equal to 20. Still, na pesa niko nayo 20 peke yake. So how do I locate 20? What we are saying, take X yote, invest in X yote. That is why it's 1 full. So nimeweka 10,000 in X. And then when you come to Y, just have a half of it, which is 0.5. A half of Y. Half of Y ni ngapi? 10. Tunaelewana? So in Y, I only invest a half of it. Hapa na invest full. So 10 in Y, my money is total of 20. And that is what I had. Tumeelewana? Nilikuwa na 20 peke yake, lazima ni balance. So first I took 10. From that 20 that I wanted to invest, I took 10. Invested fully in A. So A imechukua 10 million. Nimebaki na Y, which is B. B requires me to invest 20. I can only afford a half. So I did another 10. That gives me the total of my total of 20,000. And that is what we are saying here. Invest fully in X. And then in Y, invest half peke yake. So that at the end of the day, umeweka 10M hapa, ukaweka 10 hapa. Na ukweli, pesa yako ilikuwa total of 20. Kwa hivyo uko sawa. And that gives us the maximum NPV. Maximum NPV. Thank you so much for spending time. We shall meet again in topic number 2. But I can't leave without giving you an assignment. Lazima nikusumbue. Write down. Which year is this? This is 2022 August, question number 4C. Pambana na hiyo. I'll remind you what you need to look at. Look at the constraints and the variables. The variables are the amounts that you require, the investment that you can, or the outlay that you can put. The constant is the maximum you can do. So we have the constant and the variables. So 10x plus y can only be less or equal to 20. These are the variables. This is the constant. So you need to know which variable that you can add to another, or to which variable will give you the constant. That will give you the first equation. Go to the second equation. But the most important thing, you need to know the objective function. What are you trying to get? The maximum NPV. So the ratio here will now depend on how we'll be able to get. Right for me, August 2022, question number 4C. We are officially done with topic number 1, and you have videos for topic number 2, which I hope that you are watching seriously. I'll spend a few minutes there and then move to topic 3. So before I do that, in our next class, I will move to topic 3 so that I can give you enough time to watch topic 2. Tunaelewana? Kwa sababu umeanza kuwatch topic 2, and I'm sure you guys are in different stages. Kuna mwenye hajaanza, mwingine ako topic 2, lesson 2, mwingine amewatch topic 3. I'm giving you time to continue watching. There are only 6. Continue watching. But in the meantime, mimi nitajump topic 3. I'll do it because I know you don't have it and you're not watching it. I'll do it. Hiyo pia iko na lessons mingi kama 7 ama 6. Nikimaliza hiyo, utakuwa umemaliza topic 2. I'll come back to topic 2 to revise with you, just to remind you on the areas that you needed to have known. And we shall use past papers so that we go through it just to emphasize on your understanding of the videos. That time, tutakuwa tumemaliza topic 3 and 2 and 1. Topic 5 kuendelea and 4, hizo ni fupi. We can do them within 1 month. Shida ni topic 1, 2 and 3. Kwanza hii topic 1 inakuanga malaria kwa watoto. Sawa. So thank you so much. Somebody has a question. That must be Florence or Waziri. Hao ndio wanakuwa na maswali. Let me see who has text. Florence said niko na swali. Najua students wamechoka. Thank you. You call me tomorrow. We shall talk about it. Safa, thank you so much. Have a good night. Yes.
Florence will call you.
Yeah.